This is a story about now or never. About the pain of pushing through the discomfort of the present moment, or the repercussions of shackling yourself to regret for eternity. Trust me, I'll be the first to admit life is messy and complex and largely lived in the gray space. It's a game of nuance and detail, of interpretation. But sometimes, my friends, it's much simpler. Sometimes life comes down to two options: getting it done, or wondering what life could have been if you had the courage to. A few weeks ago, I did some rucking in Sedona with my friends Zach and Adam. And the cool thing about this hike was that, you kind of work your way up the mountain, and then at the top, there's a series of pools you can jump into. It's really refreshing, a nice little reward after a long, hot trek. And so, ultimately, we arrive at our destination. We're setting down our bags, getting ready to jump in. And a group of kids, I'm guessing high school-ish, asked us about the cameras and what we were filming. We introduced ourselves, said we were making a video for YouTube. What kind? They asked. Well, I said the kind that, if we do it right, inspires people to take life up a notch. They smiled, probably only half understanding what I was talking about, and then we went about our separate ways. Until maybe about 20 minutes later, I'm sitting on a rock with Zach and Adam, and I hear a shout from above me. It was one of those kids standing on the edge of a cliff, looking down, trying to convince himself to jump into the water below, just like all his friends had done. And you could tell he was visibly struggling. He called out, "Hey, speaker guy," to which I put two and two together and accepted the role of speaker guy. "What's up?" And he yelled back with kind of a half grin on his face, "Help me, give me a little something here." I look over my shoulder. Zach, who's always one step ahead of me, was smiling, had the camera rolling, and gave me a nod like, "Well, what do you have for him, speaker guy?" Funny enough, I've been in that same spot before. And I know I speak in metaphors sometimes, but this time, I mean literally, I've been in that position. Standing on the edge of a cliff, very similar to that one. Scared to jump in, just like all my friends had done. I even wrote a speech about it, maybe 7 years ago. Fair to say I'd earned that confidence. And so I laughed, I looked up, and I'm paraphrasing, but essentially said, it's simple. You can jump now and only feel this way, right? The fear and anxiety for the next 10 seconds or so, or you can turn around, and this moment will live on forever as one of cowardice in your mind. It's a giant almost on your resume. Plus, and this is a giant plus, if you run away, your friends will definitely call you a p. Immediately started counting the guy down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1. 1. 1. And eventually he jumped. And I can't speak for him, obviously, but it was such a relief. It was really awesome to see. It's always great to see someone have a breakthrough. Plus, it felt poetic to help someone in the same position that I'd been in. Not to mention with cameras rolling. It was just a cool moment. A symbolic moment. Because life is somewhat cyclical. In these instances, they don't happen just once. If you're living life right, you find yourself here, at that ledge, again, and again, and again. But the context is often different. The stakes are often higher, the ledge often further up. The decision, though, well, that stays consistent. Do what scares you and grow, or run away and dance with that regret forever. And this This is where I point the finger directly at you, where I plead with you to take a second. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, what ledge are you on right now? What cliff have you been standing on, peering down at the very answers you so desperately need? The journey that's been calling. This is where I ask you to find the courage to jump into that very thing you fear most. Knowing that it's the only thing standing between the life you're living and the life you most want to be living. Perhaps our existence can be summed up as a series of cliffs, a process of calculated leaps into vast unknowns, where you don't even know you've made the right move until you find yourself submerged in the water below, knowing you conquered the demon that was doing everything it could to hold you back. But the demon's everything cannot hold a candle to your everything, because your everything is determined by, well, you. Your everything goes as far as you choose to take it. Your everything stops when you stop. Your everything climbs as high as you want to ascend. So when you're in that moment, when you're on that ledge looking down at the portal to a new reality, taking in the world of what if, remember, what you feel isn't an indicator that the future is wrong. It is a toll. It makes sure you really want what you say you want. It's the price tag attached to what life could be. So don't let the friction of the present moment diminish a tomorrow with infinite upside. Because life will present to you many cliffs. It will color them with fear and anxiety and what ifs. But one thing pierces the heart of that monster. One word slays that dragon. One word connects your mountaintop to the next. Jump. What's up, gang? Welcome to the show. I hope you enjoyed that segment and the metaphor on jumping. Whatever that cliff is for you in your life, it's that reminder, that push to find the courage to let yourself move into the new chapter. So that was Jump. The next segment is a little different. It's a shorter speech, and it's about navigating those sort of dull periods in your life. It's called Lost, and the idea is, I filmed it in Flagstaff, in the middle of the woods, and it's the perfect sort of representation of, when you're waiting for change or you're waiting for answers, you're waiting for something, but all you see is endless trees, endless pine. It's like, when am I going to get this promotion? When am I going to find this person? When am I going to X, Y, and Z? And all this is a reminder that you can't see your growth when you're in it. You're becoming. Your most important evolution happens when you can't even tell you're evolving, because all you're thinking about is getting the hell out. And so this is a reminder, hey, you might feel lost, but you are on a trajectory to a better version of you. At first, there was just silence. Not peace, but the kind of silence that swallows you. That echoes the question you've been too afraid to ask. How did I get here? I woke up in the woods. No trail, no map, no signal. Only questions and a never-ending sea of pine. There's something utterly terrifying about being alone. Not physically, but emotionally. existentially. It's not the wilderness that breaks you. No, it's what the wilderness reveals. It shows you everything you've been running from. You start to see the fears you've buried, the questions you've ignored, the truths you've traded for comfort. And that's when you meet the version of you you've been avoiding. The version of you that's not afraid to fall apart because he knows how to build himself again. You see, it's easy to talk purpose in a warm room. It's easy to say you're brave when you're not being tested. But out here, where it's quiet, where the sun takes its time, where the only sound is your own breath, this is where real decisions are made. Not in front of a crowd, not after the victory, but now. When you're scared, when you're shaking, when there's no one to clap for you and no one to blame, that's when you choose. You choose whether to shrink back into the dark or take one step forward into the light. You choose whether this is where the story ends or where it begins again. You're not lost. You're becoming. You're not broken. You're being forged. This is the place where you trade panic for purpose. You trade running for rising. You trade fear for fire. And maybe, just maybe, you were never meant to be found until you found yourself here. So for those who are lost, good. It means you're no longer pretending. It means it's time to begin. All right, congratulations. Looks like you made it out of the woods. You always do. Don't forget that. This next speech is about awakening a giant inside you. And I tend to write these based on recently lived experiences or recently captured emotions. And it never ceases to amaze me, one, how powerful it is to do the right things that you love and energize you and add value. And also how easy it is to somehow slip away and do the wrong things. And I've had a recent recalibration and a going all in on the right things and just the energy. Like I use the term awaken the giant inside you because that's how it feels. It's like you're just lit up. And my first thought is like, I need to share this. I need to pass this along. This is incredible because I am a believer that we all have that inside of us. We have that passion and that energy and that excitement, that ability to exceed expectations and really make a mark on whatever we feel is meaningful. But you have to go to it. It won't come to you, right? And so that's the idea here. And I hope you'll listen to this message and really take it in and ask yourself, where in my life, if it's burnt out, where can I reignite that flame? There's a voice that follows us through life. Sometimes loud, sometimes barely a whisper, but always there. Telling us to stay small, to play safe, to know your place. For a while, we listen. We listen because to stand tall is to risk being seen. To take a swing is to risk missing. To dream is to risk heartbreak. And so we do the logical thing. We shrink. Tuck away our ambitions, lower our eyes, learn to merely survive. But hidden underneath the noise of the world, buried beneath layers of doubt and fear, sleeps a giant. A force so immense it could change everything. It is a giant waiting for you to remember. When I was young, I believed the world was mine. And get this, I didn't have a resume. I didn't have experience. What I had was a heart full of fire and a mind that saw zero limitation. I'd stand in front of the mirror and imagine a future NBA player or rock star, movie producer, climbing mountains, sailing oceans. But by default, subtly, life whispered, "Come on now, be realistic. Tone it down, stay in line." And piece by piece, I traded wonder for compliance. I traded dreams for routines. I traded what my heart wanted for society's instruction manual. I thought perhaps that fire was gone as I made my way into the world, but that giant doesn't die. It sleeps. See, the giant inside you is not made of what you do. It's made of who you are. It's the book you've never written, but you still dream about. The business you imagine when no one's around. It's the conversations you rehearse in your mind, but don't say out loud. The mountains you stare at in awe, wondering, could I? That giant is the real you, unshackled by fear. It's that song you've never sung, but still your soul knows every word. There's a myth we tell ourselves that our greatest days are behind us, that our magic is somehow lost. But the truth is that it's all still there, waiting. Because the giant inside you does not leave. It doesn't retire. Certainly doesn't forget. It waits. Patiently. Quietly. Until one day we hear its call. For me, it came on a day just like any other day. Nothing spectacular. It's never anything spectacular. It's not cinematic or profound. Just a small moment. A reflection. A realization that I was living half alive. Playing it safe while my life, was slipping by. And in that quiet heartbreak, something shifted. And I need you to understand, I need this to sink in. It was not a battle cry, it was a whisper. Hey, maybe there's more here. And sometimes that's all you need. The first crack in the wall, the first light through darkness, the first step towards waking the giant inside you. When the giant stirs, the world changes. You start moving differently, speaking differently, choosing differently. You no longer ask for permission. You no longer seek validation. You no longer apologize for wanting more. It is your right. You realize you were never meant to live small. You were never meant to fit in. No, you were here to build and dream and climb and dance and shout your truth into the heavens with a voice so loud that the very mountains echo it back. You were made to live. Because the truth is, you're not broken. And as hard as this feels, you are not lost, you are not late, you are simply asleep. But that giant is stirring, and if you put your hand over your chest, you can feel it. The world needs you awake. So today I ask you, what would happen if you answered the call? What would happen if you trusted the fire inside you even when the world told you not to? What would happen if you stopped shrinking and started standing? Because the world does not need another shadow. It needs you. It needs you alive and awake and unapologetically yourself. When fear says stay small, awaken that giant. When doubt says, be quiet, let your giant speak. When life says, hey, know your place, let your giant break the walls down. There is a giant within you, and it's time to wake up. The world is waiting. Well, we are almost at the end of the show here. We have one segment left. And this segment is called I'll See You When I Get There. Now, this one's a little bit different. I sat down to write it intending to do something totally different. But that's just kind of what emerged. And when that happens, usually, there's a reason. There's something you want to unpack or explore, or there's something you're feeling. And it ended up being really valuable. It's a letter to my grandfather, who passed away in 2004. And you might be asking, rightfully so, why would I care about that? I think for this reason, right? Upon reflecting back, because I was young, I was barely in high school when he passed away, but I remember these things. I remember how he made me feel. I remember how he put family first. I remember how even when he was suffering, he showed up. And it's like, that's what I want to be. That's what I want to emulate. And that's why I didn't feel selfish sharing it, because I'm like, even if it doesn't matter to the person on the other screen who my grandfather was, it will at least prompt the question, how can I show up in my life for the people I love? How can I be a better brother, sister, husband, mother, father, son? I mean, how can I be the best person I can be? What really matters? And it's a beautiful thought experiment, and I hope it prompts that. So without further ado, I'll see you when I get there. The sands of time may have buried you, as they'll bury us all. But in my mind, you live on. In my mind, there you are. Smiling the way you used to. Lighting up the room the way you once did. You even laugh at my jokes when no one else does. Which I'm sure is not easy for even the memory of you to do. Why did the Scarecrow win an award? Well, because he was outstanding in his field, obviously. See, that's what we're working with here. Or maybe that is up your alley. I'm not sure, I was too young to remember. But I do remember piling in the car and going to the button store. That's what you'd tell us. Remember? Okay, we'd say, just excited to be there. Then you'd pull up to Four Seasons ice cream and it would be like Christmas in July. You made a lot of people feel like Christmas in July. Maybe you were Christmas in July. I talk about you a lot. Maybe too much. Sometimes people say I remind them of you. And I always take that as a compliment because in my mind you were perfect. But I've gotten older. And I know now that you couldn't have been perfect, you were human. It's so odd growing up and learning that even the people you look up to the most in life are flawed. It's weird learning that not even your parents, the king and queen of your world, have all the answers. Nah, we're all just trying to figure this damn thing out, aren't we? We think we're more sophisticated than cavemen dancing around the fire 40,000 years ago, but sometimes I wonder. Oh, I moved to Arizona. I live down the street from Aunt Julie. It's fun to be able to see her. You know, she tells me stories about you guys as kids, how you like to push the envelope. You'd always get into trouble. But it would always be this sort of calculated trouble. Like even when the wheels were falling off the wagon, you somehow stayed in control. And I'm not sure that's the best way to describe it, but it's what I've got. She mentions how she always felt safe with you. And I think that's so cool. Like, what's more beautiful than being the source of someone's safety? What's more meaningful than putting someone at ease? Sometimes I wonder what you'd say about where I am now, what I do for a living. I even wonder if you'd be disappointed that I never went into the military. That may be one of my true regrets. At least 4 years, but I'm planning to help give back in other ways. It's not so much that I'm craving your approval, although subconsciously that's certainly possible. It feels more so, I wonder how I'd measure up. I went to Mass Maritime Academy a few years back and spoke to the cadets in the field across from the statue of you, and Mom, Dad, Nana, everyone was there. I shared a few lessons you taught me when I was younger. I did the same thing to a room full of state police in Idaho. It always seems to connect. I think because it's just real. I don't feel the need to be anything or play a role or be a character. Just a mere messenger, that's all. A distributor of value, and there's something precious about that. Oh, a lot of people know the phrase, "You're always stronger than you think you are," because of you, Gramps. I told this story in around 2015 in one of my videos, and it really resonated with people. It's great perspective. I'll never forget you being sick and telling Nana not to worry, that the tumor was no big deal, that it was, quote, all in your head. Okay, maybe I do get the dad jokes from you, but that blows me away. Because another thing I've learned over the years is that life is hard. It can be so hard. But you, even in your toughest moments, you never made it about yourself. Ever. In fact, you'd go out of your way with humor and compassion and love to make sure those around you didn't feel your pain. Long story short, I won't get into it now, but because societally we sort of lost our way for a few years, we're relearning what basic things are, masculinity being one of them. It's everywhere, online, in public discourse. And every time it comes up, my mind goes right to how you made us feel. I think about you and Dad putting family first. Not telling, but leading. always being a rock in our lives. Anyway, I won't take up too much of your time. I'm sure you're sailing the ocean blue up there. Actually, this wasn't even supposed to be a note to you. I was planning to write about little hinges, about how there are some small, frictionless things we can do in life that make a monumental difference. Perhaps even things we wouldn't anticipate being as powerful as they are. And this morning I was having some coffee before the sun came up. You know, that little stretch of time between 4:30 and 6:30. How it's so beautiful anticipating the full day to come. It's so quiet. I started thinking that I should enjoy it, because that sun will ultimately set, as your sun has. My story will be no different. But your sun, I remember its warmth on my skin. I remember how it illuminated even the darkest of rooms. I remember its rays dancing overhead, reminding us of your presence. Perhaps recalling that warmth is my little hinge, my engine, my why. And I'll do my best to pass it along, to help others feel it. I think most importantly to remind them that they have that same light within them. Entire worlds within them, in fact. And so, Gramps, goodbye for now and happy sailing. I'm sure I'll see you again, where the ocean and the sky intersect. Well, that concludes the show. I appreciate you guys sticking around. If this connected, hit the thumbs up, subscribe. There's just a ton more coming, so I'm excited to share that with everybody. And on the other side too, if you felt like something missed the mark, let me know in the comments. I want to always be improving, seeing how I could add more value to the community. So would love to hear from you. Other than that, my friends, have a beautiful day. Live inspired.